This is why I'm taking this to the public today. This issue can only be resolved if we all play a part in addressing this regionally, and that includes at the local level. I will be asking to look into how much the matricular card is used in identifying those here illegally, and I will be asking our city attorney and chief to explore new policies that encourage our officers to use all legal means available to verify the identity of unlicensed drivers. If identification cannot be conclusively determined through appropriate identification such as a driver's license or passport or visa, or other form of ID such as a resident alien card, I am asking that new policies be considered to take offenders into custody for positive identification. At that point, they would be screened by ICE, and if ICE was not present or available, we would notify them to give them an opportunity to screen the individual. We should be asking our officers to use the highest standards when determining whether to bring someone in to be identified, not the lowest. As it stands now, only a handful of the almost 2,000 people cited for unlicensed driver, excuse me, in 2009 alone are brought in for verification of identification. This creates a revolving door for unlicensed drivers who repeatedly avoid penalties by providing false identification or insufficient identification to law enforcement personnel in the field. It also provides protection for those in the United States illegally and keeps unlicensed drivers on public streets and highways. According to our city attorney, there is no greater fine or punishment for the second offense for an unlicensed driver unless the unlicensed driver is charged with a misdemeanor the first time and put on probation. But the question that comes up is, why does our system enable and allow them to be charged a second time if they are here illegally? This costs our society through the entire legal system, including time spent by police, district attorney, courts, jails, and prisons, not to mention the cost due to lawsuits and medical attention when needed. There are also inconsistencies regarding who gets screened and deported. For example, if you get a DUI in Costa Mesa, you will be brought into the city jail and screened if the ICE agent is available. As a result, many who are arrested for DUI in Costa Mesa and are here illegally are in fact screened and deported by ICE, but the agent is not always available, so there are some loopholes. But these circumstances and policies are not always the same for all city, county, and state law enforcement agencies. As a result, people who are here illegally can get multiple DUIs before they are ever deported, because oftentimes no one is asking or checking, and there is a huge financial and safety cost to that. According to a report by Judicial Watch, in 2003, the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI concluded that the matricular consular identification card is not a reliable form of identification due to the non-existence of any means of verifying the true identity of the cardholder. But the question is that even if it were a reliable form of identification, why would any person who is in this country legally need a matricular card? And why would we accept it? According to federal law, anyone who comes here legally should have a passport and a visa, and all legal permanent resident aliens are required by federal law to carry their identification with them at all times. It is a federal misdemeanor to fail to do so. Any legal permanent resident alien should be able to furnish proper legal identification upon a police officer's request for identification, and I am asking that we explore implementation of a more thorough policy on this issue. We also need legislation that will bring consistency and equity regarding tow policies for unlicensed and suspended drivers, and judges who will uphold our laws. I also want to bring attention to the expanding acceptance of the matricular card and the need to reverse that trend. According to our city attorney, the California Code of Regulations already allows the matricular card to be considered valid ID to visit state prisoners. I am also asking our city manager to bring the following enforcement options forward for council consideration and discussion. And I want to emphasize that I am requesting that these be brought forward for discussion, as I realize there will be many questions. The use of E-Verify by all contractors and their employees if they do business with the city. The use of E-Verify by anyone seeking a business license in the city so that their employees are screened to make sure they have a legal right to work here, and that citizens and those here legally get jobs first. This is currently being done in the city of Lancaster, and I will be asking that we look into the results of their actions. I am also asking that we have some policy discussions regarding asking all who are taken into custody by the police during the normal course of their duties, not only their nation of origin, but if they're here illegally, as we have a legal right to ask that question. And that we notify ICE and document if they followed up so that if they are released and commit another crime, the city has at least done its part to notify ICE. Additionally, I am asking that we have discussions regarding a more clear policy on how we handle foreign nationals with a strong emphasis on proper, proactive training. And as I mentioned before, we have complete respect and support for legal immigration and welcome all who come here legally. At the same time, I am here to state that Costa Mesa is not a sanctuary city and is in fact a rule of law city when it comes to upholding our immigration laws, and I will be asking the council to make that official.